Thanks, Gita.
Yep, thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm going to mute out right now.
Okay.
Hey, Thomas.
Yes.
All right, what I did was I just put in all my information in place of Patrick's. And what I did was I just added a digit in front of his number. He has 54,000. I have 954,000. So I just added my digit. And then I put everything else the same. And apparently it looks like it comes, our address is the one that, and our zip codes are the ones we have to use.
I think we still have to do, for the mortgage, we have to do something like the corporate example that he has.
We have to put, like, the CFO in there somewhere,
Yeah,
don't we?
Yes. You look at the corporate example, I have it up here. Let me take a look at it.
But the one he posted is not it's just lunch money,
I think it's a court case or something like that.
A court case? Oh, so then we have to send it to a different address then, right? Our home address?
Send what?
Where it says they have the creditor and then the debtors. The debtor's information is the same as the creditor. On his example, it looks the same. It's the same.
Yeah, on the A, lender and borrower. On the C, it's a debtor, creditor, and debtor.
It's the same exact info.
Yes.
Just different type setting.
Yeah, well, the same exact info except on the corporate example, he has two different descriptions, one for the A and one for the C. And I don't think those apply anymore because he has a new descriptive language which basically points out that we're going the reason for the 10 times is that we're going against the debt that the government itself generated from our money.
So in box 2 is going to be 10 times more than box 3.
Right.
And then box 3 would basically be the same as box 7.
Well, that's what. But when I talked to him the other day, he had box 7 essentially 9 times box 3 because
9 times more than 3?
because the box 2 is 10 times the debt.
No. Miss Thatcher, come on the line. Tom, you're getting messed up. Okay.
Yeah. I figured from looking at it that you would change what you had told me because what you told me was nice to get that amount of money, but I figured I probably wasn't owed that.
Okay. The whole deal, this goes all the way back into history. Okay. You need to look up the word tied and then ings, I-N-G-S, or I-N-G. It's two words.
Just a second, Patrick. People need to get on mute. We can hear background conversations going on.
I think there's a TV on.
Or TV, well, whatever's going on. Please go *6 and mute yourself out. And if you want to come on and talk, and that's better. It's better now. But when you want to come on and talk, turn off your background noise and hit *6 again. Sorry to interrupt, Patrick.
Okay, the basic gist of the 1099-C, 1099-A, and the 1096. They're all red. This is the red pill that was in the movie Matrix. To be able to come out, okay? So, in utilizing these, okay, and this goes back in the history, okay, that bondage, okay, the people got into bondage and they had to go to the temple to have the fat removed to get the tidings, the 10% tidings. The 10% then is given over to the temple. You are the temple. Okay? But The 10% that they're really talking about is the releasing of your assets that the government has been utilizing under 10 bonds.
Mm.
The word tidings is two words, tide and ings. Okay? You look that up in an Oxford dictionary or real old, good dictionary that has a lot of the words that are totally missing in the law dictionaries, and you'll find this. Tied means bonded. You're tied up. Okay? Your assets are tied up. They have a lien against your assets for so much value. Then they have written bonds against those liens. Okay? So now you've got the word tied. Ings basically is neutral, metal, or neutral assets. Your assets are neutral. They're sitting under your certificate of live birth account. You have to come in, and basically this is under the architect of this monetary system or the engineer. You look up ING, I-N-G, and you'll also see E-N-G. They engineered our assets into being in bondage. That's the architect, what they did. Just like in the movie Matrix. They engineered the people into bondage. The people were raised in the fields, then they were taken from there and placed into the capsule under the certificate of live birth. You see in the movie, when Neil, at the first one, when he's looking out of his little capsule, he sees these other towers there. Well, each one of those towers in that movie Matrix was representing a different state. But each one of those states was plugged into the big system, into the big matrix. So you start seeing the correlation in a lot of this stuff, and then you start getting an insight of light, of understanding of what's going on. And that's what Neil did several times. He went in to Mr. Smith. He had insight, and then basically Mr. Smith got destroyed because of the light. You're coming in now, and you're understanding that we have to cancel, at least at the federal level, 10 times the amount of debt that they have written against our assets. So, like if you have a IRS bill for $50,000, you turn around, you put the $50,000 on line 3, you multiply that times 10, you put that in line 2. They are utilizing that, so basically you're going to claim that back. You're claiming back what is in line 3. That is your interest that you have in this process. That is your ings, okay, is what is in line 3. And what you're doing is you are re-engineering this out of their system. You're collapsing the bonds that they have written. You're ordering them to be collapsed. That you are no longer allowing your ings to be utilized by them. Then they have to, and you put that same amount in line 3 down in line 7. Now, if you have a valid service charge in that is also encompassed in line 3. Say, like on my court case, they had a charge. Well, I also paid out of my back pocket. So I had 2 claims in value against them. My interest in line 3 was double what the initial charge was. But the bond that they'd written was only against the bill, the charge that they had. So that's why, I don't know which example I posted up there, but why the line 3 was not a full 10%.
The one you posted
10 times.
is
It was not a full 10 times. Okay.
the one you posted is full 10, as the full 10%. The 54.
Okay. Well, that's
75.
what I tried to stipulate. Okay. Now,
Right.
that is at the federal level. Okay. 10 times is at the federal level. Now, at the state level, I found out this years ago was that 65% is basically at 10-to-1 ratio. 10 bonds, they can write 10 bonds against 65% of what is in line 3. The other 35%, they can write from 10 bonds to 35 bonds for that value. In several of the items that I sent into the court and mailed them off yesterday, was I took the full max value of what they were capable of bonding. You can always cancel more debt than what is out there. Order the cancellation of that. But I basically then down in line 7, I was only asking back for the payment that I made out of my back pocket. They could keep the other. Now, if you're just doing a set-off of a charge, you write the bonds in there. Say like you got a traffic ticket for $150. You write $150 in line 3. You put down $1,500 in line 2. You don't need to, you can put a notation in the description. And what is a description? Okay? With the certificate of live birth, with the driver's license, with all these others, you subscribed to their system. A description is a breaking away from that subscription. You are addressing the differences, that is not what was needed. So basically you can put down in the description block that basically this is you're canceling the debt to allow the funds to come out and settle the account right now. They are holding your assets. Okay, they've written bonds against your driver's license, against your voter registration card, against your certificate of title to your vehicle, against your certificate of title to your house, against your insurance policy that they have on you, okay? Like, say you've got a whole life insurance policy for $500,000. They have basically locked up $500,000 of your assets, writing bonds out there against it. Insurance is the worst thing in the world. It is the destroyer. It is the vampire, the blood-sucking system out here. The insurance is what is writing the bonds. Trying to say, well, you need to have security. You've got security. You've got the assets of Mother Earth held in the Treasury. It's there for everybody's usage that's here in this country. And basically there's more minerals still under the ground to come up if needed. So we're not broke. We're not insolvent. Okay? We just have to come in as the principal executive officer and cancel the debt. And start getting enlightened out here. Now, you're going to have to think through some of these items like your mortgage. Most of the ones at the federal level, if you have your estate or your trust EIN, you would be the creditor. The Social Security person is going to be the debtor in care of the United States Department of the Treasury to the comptroller of the currency. The comptroller of the currency is the one who is responsible for all the bonds that are held by the Department of the Treasury. They're accessing your account by way of the Social Security. That is the trust fund certificate that you have. It's just one big trust fund, but you have a certificate, a share of stock in that trust fund. You have a share of stock in the special fund, and that share of stock is your certificate of live birth. The special fund is where all the ings are held in a neutral state of condition. They can't touch them. They can only place a lien against them and tie them up with bonds. And you have to come in and cancel those bonds. Now, you have a court case. Basically, the debtor is going to be the court. Okay, they're writing it. But the account number that you've been assigned is going to be like the driver's license down below, and then the citation number in there. It's still tying with that driver's license. It's still tying back to your Social Security account or to your certificate of live birth at the state level. If you're in your birthing state, basically they have a stockpile of assets from your certificate of live birth also that was stockpiled for the first 21 years and has continued to be utilized. So you've got a pretty good stockpile of credits. But the only way you can access those credits is to cancel the 10 times debt. Then you turn around and you put that down. And if you do a straight cancellation, you can turn around and do it 1099A and then pick it up under your 98 series number from the estate as it now is abandoned property. Then you turn around and per the 1099A and the 1099Cs, you put in a 1041 form. And it is a return. It's a return to the normal, neutral position of those assets. And it's returning it to you when you claim it. We've made this too damn hard out here, trying to find out what's going on. It's been like in the movie Matrix, all the different doors that are in the movie going down. We had to find the key maker, the knowledge of understanding to unlock the door. And it was that tidings. The church has been one of the biggest devils out here in getting people to misunderstand what tidings is all about. It's really 10x over your ings. Okay? To get your initial ing back. They have 10 bonds. You have to get rid of those 10 bonds that are standing over it. Then you get your 10% back. You're not getting screwed out of a deal. You're just getting your assets back. It was the 10% is 10 bonds. But at the state level, it can be, like I said, 65 and 35% at different levels there. So it can be a lot more. Well, what do you have if you've got 3 levels of servants? Okay, and the head servant is writing 10 bonds and taking all the profits off the 10 bonds. Well, the next servant down is going to add a few more bonds to the situation so he can get a profit. And then the next level servant down the line is going to do the same thing, add a few more bonds so that he can get a profit. So, like on a credit card, which is the lowest level out there in the system, they give you a credit line of $20,000. But the number of bonds that they're writing against that $20,000, and basically they're locking up 20,000 of your ings back at the Treasury, tying them up, okay, with liens and then writing bonds against them. The amount of bonds that they can write against that is times 100. In other words, line 2 would be 2 million. If line 3 was 20,000. So you have to cancel the 2 million in bonds. Then you free up the credit that basically they have tied up, and then you get that back for the 1099-C, and then you file that in with your 1041 to pull that amount of credit out of the Treasury. Okay. Open for questions.
Patrick, would that number go in line 7, or would you have to do a 1099-A?
Well, it all depends on how you go about it, okay? If you want to bring it out either way, you could put it down and just use for the instruction, you could just use the 1099-C, and if you have it filled out properly. But if you get it to an abandoned state, okay, say like right now, for this, you've got the credit card. okay? The credit card company is going to be the debtor. Your account number down below is going to be how it attaches to your Social Security person. Now, you would pretty much leave the 1099-C, cancel the debt, and block 2 for the value in line 3. Then you would go to, and you would put in block 6, A or whatever. They're operating in bankruptcy, but you could check out and see what other category you want to put in there if you want to put something different in there. Then I would go to the 1099-A. I would put down the Social Security person as being the one who you lent, okay? Let's see if I can get my idiot.
There, Patrick, or did you drop out?
No, I'm still here.
Okay. So I guess we're getting confused on just exactly who's the creditor, the debtor, the borrower, and the lender.
You need to basically take a couple of these forms and write them down, okay?
Right.
You need to slow down and think about these things, that your Social Security person is always the one that they're accessing through. Okay?
So he's the debtor.
Okay. Let's take a simple scenario here. You've got a regular bank, okay? And you've got a checking account and you've got a savings account at that bank. Now at the bank, you have access to write checks. So you write the checks out underneath the checking account. But you have overdraft protection to where you can draw from the savings account. Right? That's the way most of them operate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you go in and you here in their system, it's the mirror image. So in the mirror image, the one that is writing the checks or allowing the access is the savings account, the Social Security account, the trust fund, to your checking account, which is your certificate of live birth account, your shares of stock over there, and you need to read the definitions of some of these words in Black's Law Dictionary, and then if you see some of these words and you can't find them in those dictionaries, you better go out and get a Oxford Universal Dictionary, an Old Webster's Dictionary, something that basically has the words in it. It's all in the words. I've said this before. Until you understand the words, you're not going to be able to combat them. And stock, basically it's almost 5 pages in the dictionary about stock. Interest is about 3 or 4 pages. You need to get an understanding of that, what they're saying in there. Yeah, now, the lender, in all cases, would be you, and you would be the foreign grantor on the 1099-A. So you would put down your name for your foreign grantor trust in there, and however it came with the SS4, and then you would put down behind that your number. behind the name. Then you would put down in care of Mr. or Mrs. whoever as the PEO. I would put down the address, care of, your street address, and without the city's estate and the county. You're away from them. You are not part of them any longer. You've unplugged from the system. You can live in that city, but you're unplugged from that city. In the trust. Now you come down to the borrower, and since you've done the 1099-C, and you left 5, 6, or 5, 4, 5, and 6, or 4, 5, and 7 blank, now it becomes abandoned property available for you to pick up because there is no bondage. There are no ties to that. So it's been abandoned by bonds. There is no bondage over it, so it's abandoned. You can turn around and you put that amount down on line 2 and line 4 of the 1099-A. The borrower would be the Social Security, the savings account, or the SSN trust fund certificate number, and then put your Social Security number. You have a stock certificate of so much value. But basically it's almost unlimited in value if you need it. And as a stockholder, you can come in under proxy to vote the shares of the stock for the other people. That's what I was trying to do with the national debt, was I was trying to come in under my share of stock as a proxy right of proxy to order the cancellation of the whole national debt. But when I did it, I only did 17 trillion. That was the amount that needed to be freed up in box 3. The amount of real bondage is 170 trillion. And then I'm going to do the same thing pretty much probably with the military account that I have there under that certificate. The Department of Defense has something like a budget of $600 billion or whatever a year. Well, I'll go in and cancel that, but I'll cancel it for $6 trillion in bonds. To free up the $600 billion and have that ordered to be given out to all the military people. Now, whether they do it or not, that's another thing, but they will probably, and it's like in the movie Matrix, when the Oracle asked the architect, who was the engineer who engineered the system, what about the others? And he said, if they want to come out, they can. But in most cases, most people out here are not going to come out. They're scared of their own shadow. They're comfortable in living in the dark. They hate the light. So, okay, go back to questions here now.
It's looking like then it's we who show up as borrower, lender, debtor and creditor. When we want to cancel the mortgage, don't we need to reference to the CFO? And does he become the debtor in that case?
He is the debtor on that C, on that 1099-C.
Okay.
Okay? But you would come in, if you've got your estate, okay, you would be the creditor over the two accounts that are in the estate that are still held at the Treasury.
Okay.
Now, if you don't have your EIN for your estate yet, you come in as the SSN person, as the creditor.
I think everybody.
What?
I'm sorry. I think everybody in the group has their estate EIN now. Yes.
Well, but there's other new people that are coming on. Okay.
Right.
So don't jump the gun, Tom. Okay. I'm stating this for a reason. Okay.
For generality, right? Good.
Okay. So basically, if you don't have your EIN, and some people are still running into problems, I don't know why, and I can't analyze what all the people's different problems are, why they're not getting their numbers. They've got to sit down and try and figure this out. Okay, I don't see what paperwork comes back from the IRS asking them to do certain things, and then basically some of these people out here want to argue the damn thing. They don't want to pick up the phone and say, well, basically, I'm not getting results here. I want to talk to your supervisor. They're afraid to ask to go higher. You are the people of America. You're the owners of this country. You have the right to go all the way to the top of the government. They work for us. At least that's the way it was supposed to work. So you can either, when you have the mortgage, you can either come in as the estate is going to be the creditor, or the SSN person is going to be the creditor. You use your federal identification number, which is your zip code, in the numbers as the creditor. You use their federal identification number as their zip code and 4-digit number. You put them down as the borrower or the debtor. But it's really the account in your name that is the debtor there in their system. You have another person who is the debtor in their system.
You mean in the bank system?
Yes.
Okay.
And see, the hardest in the Bible, the one who is the hardest sin to forgive, is the sin to thyself, to the Holy Ghost, to your imaginary person. That is who you have to cancel the debt for. Because it's all in your name one way or another. Even the driver's license is in your name. One of your other person's names. Even though it's being held by the state of wherever you're at. They're the real debtor, but the sub-debtor in the process is the driver's license. Just like the mortgage with the bank. The bank never signed anything, did they?
No, they never do.
No. It was only you. You subscribed. And now in the description, you have to break that tie. And when you read the definition of description in the dictionary, they try and operate in a generality because all warrants for arrest and everything are supposed to clearly identify who is being arrested. And they don't. They operate in generality to sort of associate you as the living as being the fiction that they really have the charge against. You have to break that presumption in the description. Yes, see, these words have immense meaning when you start to see them. You start to get the inner insight, and basically look up the word insight in a good dictionary that has more than 1,000 pages in the damn thing, like an Oxford Universal Dictionary, 1933 or older, or a Webster's Dictionary. If you want to have a library, the first thing you better get into that library is as many damn dictionaries as you can get. You better start understanding the words. Forget the law books. The words will tell you what you need to know. Okay, more questions?
So, when we're doing credit cards, it's still the bank. When we're doing things like hospital bills, it'd still be the medical center there. But
Under your name, yes, your
under
account.
my name. Though they don't have, well, they probably do have my Social Security. Are they taking bonds out against it?
Yes. Yes.
That's right. Okay.
You cancel the debt. And see, they put 10 times or more against all that.
Okay.
That's the only way that they can operate. They have no money. They're a corporation. They have to zero their books at the end of every year.
So if I have a doctor's bill, it's the same thing. They probably have my Social Security number and do bonds against it.
Possibly, but basically, the thing is, you turn around and you handle some of those things a little different. You have to know, is that a private doctor or is it a doctor that basically is tied into a medical system, okay? Tom, please, handle one thing at a time until you get a handle on it.
Okay.
Same thing goes for the rest of you people out here. Get one thing done. Try and understand it. If nothing else, take one of these 1099-Cs, go in and put it in for $1.5 million in Block 3. Cancel $15 million in debt. Do a 8302 form when you submit your 1041 in, and have it directly deposited into your checking account, non-interest-bearing checking account. You can get a debit card against that non-interest-bearing checking account. Now you've got some latitude, freedom to operate with and to go forward, to go and get a new computer, to go and get a computer training program, because most people out here do not know how to operate the damn computers. Go and hire a couple 5 to 10-year-olds, and basically they could probably tell you more about the computer than you will probably learn the rest of your lifetime. Yes, you're wasting a lot of time in some of this stuff. Try and keep it simple, stupid, as the old saying goes, KISS.
Yep.
And if we did that, we would use the U.S. Department of Treasury Comptroller to do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're canceling the debt at the national level when you would put that in. You would put your debtor's name down as your Social Security person, and the estate, you would be coming in as the Mr. or Mrs. as the fiduciary over the estate, and you would be ordering the cancellation. You're the PEO, Principal Executive Officer.
And that's just what you have in your example here.
Yes.
Patrick, I have a question about the comptroller. You have your home address. Do we have to find out? We have to find out our comptroller for us?
No. That is in care of the comptroller, the Department of the Treasury, and the comptroller. That's where the account is really at.
Oh, so this is the red copy that goes to the IRS. All right, that makes sense. I was thinking of the
you're still getting
copy.
your mail at that address to that Social Security person.
Excuse me. All right, I get it. That's the red copy.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah, see? Now the bank and everything else, you're going to basically put down the bank address but the account down below is in their system.
And I like how you put only the last 4 digits of the SSN number. That's good.
Yeah, and the same thing for your certificate of live birth. Now, I would have no problem in putting down the EIN number up there for the estate.
Yeah, the top portion.
Yeah. And then, like when you do the 1099-A, you put the EIN for the trust, and then you make the lender or the borrower the estate, and you put his EIN in there. And then basically the federal identification numbers are going to be your zip code plus your 4 digits.
So you're telling us basically that we do the C, and we really need to do the A also for the 1041?
Only if you need to, okay?
Yeah.
Read the instructions about the 1099-C.
Yeah, I'm going to just do the C with the 1041.
Yeah.
Hey, how are those nuts anyway?
Oh, they're good. I've got to thank you.
A nut for the nutty.
Yeah. Basically, with my false teeth, it was a little chewy for the dried fruit, but I was getting through some of it. So.
Hey, you got to soak it in water overnight. It'll hydrate.
Oh no, they're pretty chewy.
Good.
They're really chewy. Yeah.
All right.
But,
on mute.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to say something. I was going to say something there at the beginning, but sorry. I get carried away on certain priorities here and lose touch on some others. So I'm sorry.
So I'm gonna do the C with 1.5 million, and then 10 times that is 15 million. I'm gonna do that then.
Yeah.
With the C. All right. I'll write up a whole bunch of red forms.
Yeah, we all need some lunch money.
That's champagne money.
Get that one in, and then start looking at all the rest. And see, when you start seeing this, okay, and you start breaking through the barrier, you've got your foot in the door now, okay?
I think that's what I was trying to do.
There's no turning back.
Yeah, I just want to do the easiest one.
Yeah, but try and get a couple of the others out there so that you make them aware that you're not just going after, you're also out there to try and cancel other debt too.
Right.
You're not just going after the money, okay?
Right.
You've got to do some others in the process. I sent 4 of them out yesterday, okay? My IRS bills, 7 of them, okay? They're a tune of about $22,000. My traffic tickets, which I had altogether 22 1099-Cs there for a grand total of 5,000 and some. I sent a corrected one in for my $300 penalty envelopes for the first one that I submitted for about $3,600, and I added another one to it for another $12,000 or $1,200. I got 4 more envelopes, so I submitted that in. So for a total of $4,800. Now those will come back as checks when they come back. I submitted a 1041, individual 1041 for each one of those. Then the only one that I submitted the 8302 form in with was the one that I put in for $1.5 million, because on that 8302 form, it has to be $1 million plus to use that form. You can't have direct deposit for $5,000 or $22,000 or anything like that. They'll send you the treasury check back for that. But when we come in and we start addressing that this is tidings out here, the correct pronunciation and the usage of tidings in the process, and cancel at least 10 times the amount of debt, then basically we've shown them that we understand this system. And this system goes all the way back to Cain and Abel's time, because it was in place before Abraham ever started his quest. Abraham and Noah and all the rest of them, okay? Moses, Jesus, Daniel, Jeremiah, they're all in the same scenario. Prophets? No. They had basically insight. They were sort of like in the Matrix there, to where the architect's talking to Neil and says, basically, you've been here before. That was the prophets that he was talking about. That had come there to unlock the system. But even then, a lot of the people stayed plugged into the system. This is not for everybody, okay? Only for the ones that basically want to go out and fight for it, like in the Adjustment Bureau. You have the right of free choice, but you have to fight for it, and you have to fight for it the right way. And this is a re-engineering, just like in the movie Paycheck. I can go on through numerous different movies and give you correlations of all these different things out here. Okay, back to your questions.
When you sent in your $300 envelopes, you sent the envelopes in with it, right? There's no.
I just filled out the 1099 C. I sent the red copy into, and basically I sent at the same time that I sent it out to Ogden with the 1041. I sent the red copy of the 1099-C to Kansas City. Get them out of your hands as quick as possible. You can always order more 1099-Cs, more 1099-As, and more 1096s.
No, I mean the actual envelopes that you stamped.
No, I've got them. If they want them, they can come to me and get them.
Okay.
And where did you send your 1041?
I sent mine to Ogden, Utah.
Okay.
There's 2 places you send the 1041s. One is either to Cincinnati or to Ogden.
Yeah, I sent mine to Cincinnati.
Okay.
So with the mortgage, in box number 3 would go the
any principal and interest you paid out of your back pocket.
Right. And then in box 2 would go 10 times the
10 times the initial mortgage.
Okay.
So box 3 is not the initial, the amount owed plus principal and interest.
It is how much interest you have. Read what it says. Interest.
Right.
Okay?
Well,
that means what are you, what is, the interest is not interest on the money.
Right.
Okay? It's what interest you have in the process. And basically you have an interest in all that you paid out of your back pocket plus the original mortgage because you were the creditor on that mortgage contract.
Okay.
Oh,
you
okay.
signed it. Yeah. So you
that would
allowed
be the
them
original...
to use your credit.
Well, when I talked with you last week, I mentioned that there were
Don't bring it up. Just sort of let it go. Okay. Just listen to me. What I'm doing now. You start bringing other stuff into the play, and you get it screwed up again.
Very, very good. I'll do that.
Yes. Okay.
I get it now.
Okay. Yeah. This. I'm sorry, but basically, this would have been nice if we could have all learned this the first time out. But no, has to have growing pains. Okay. Just like in school. Okay. They can't teach you calculus in kindergarten. You have to get groomed up the ladder to be able to handle some of this stuff. You have to walk the path to talk the talk.
What are you talking about, growing pains? I have a whole head full of gray hair now. Ridiculous. I have to color my hair again.
No, that's not gray. That's smoke. There's still fire down the box.
I just wanted to comment. I like the format you did it because then all we do is print it out. We can use the printer and use it because you set up all the boxes, alignment really well for the Form C.
Yeah, if you can get your printer to line up, and basically
I think so.
Yeah, the program I use. Yeah, the program I use is Nitro PDF. Then you can move those boxes around until you get the printer and the paper set up right. And in some cases, you have to. You have three choices on your printer: whether there is no shrinkage, whether you have shrinkage, or whether it fits the page. So you have to look at a lot of different aspects of it.
Yeah, I'm going to just tweak it, like move it around and stuff.
Now, when you print it out, you tear off the strip on the left and print 3 copies, right?
No.
Yeah. You have to.
No,
you
the
have
way
to print it
I was
3 times.
doing it, okay.
Somebody has to mute out.
The way I was doing it, I printed out or I scanned in the whole sheet. Okay, that gives you the full 8.5 by 11. Okay, because that's what the sheet is with the rip-off side is an 8.5 by 11. Okay, so I print the top sheet. Okay, then I rip it off. Then I print page 2. Then I rip it off. Then I put the thing back in the printer again and print off page 3. Then I tear off the strip off of page 3.
Okay. And you got this form by scanning it in and then somehow eliminating the text? Eliminating the text?
I laid out the boxes, yeah.
Okay, because I looked at the...
Nitro PDF, there's some other, Adobe, if you've got the master Adobe program, you should be able to utilize that one. But that's, almost $900 or something like that to get the full-blown Adobe
right.
Yeah, the cheaper version is it's like $100, I think.
Huh?
The cheaper version is like $100, I think.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'll mute.
Be great if we could get a 1099A. It's only different is the description in the checkoff box.
Yeah, I've got one of those set up too.
Okay.
I've
Actually,
even got
you're
I've
saying
even got the 1096 set up. Okay, I did all of these. Okay.
Wow,
Oh my goodness.
great. So actually, you're saying if we get Nitro PDF, we could just move the boxes from the C to the A around ourselves.
Yeah, and then basically
Okay.
you can set up all three different categories as different levels. You can either have them repeat to where box 1 is the same as box 1 in the next one down, as
Right.
the same as box 1 in the next one. Or you can turn around and you can mix and match them and say, no, I want box 1 is going to be box 1A, and then box 1 down the next one is going to be box 1B, and then the next one down is going to be box 1C. Then you can have three different entries into those different boxes.
Right. Okay. Got it.
How many did you add to your 1096?
Huh?
How many did you send in with the 1096 at a time?
Well, I sent in my 22 1099-Cs for my court cases, for my
22
traffic
of them?
tickets.
Yeah.
Huh?
Wow, 22 of them?
Sure.
Yeah, well, see, you've got, on a traffic ticket, you've got the charge, and then you've got an appearance bond.
Oh my gosh, a lot.
So
yeah.
you've got two items on there.
So you had to put 22 on your 1099-C number 85. You had to put the number 22 in there.
No. Oh, yeah, on the
Yeah, because you're sending 22.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
with
put
that 110.
22 1099-Cs.
Yeah.
And
then you add it all up?
Yeah, you add up all what is you want back in box number 7.
No, I think that's box 5. Wait.
Box
for the
4.
1096.
Box 4 on the 1096 is what goes in box 7. That is what has been withheld from you.
It says withheld, yeah.
Now, block 5 is the full amount of the debt that you're canceling.
That's the 10 times the amount, right?
Well, whatever, you add up
Whatever
all your block 2s.
Right.
So basically one of the best things to do is also learn how to do an Excel file.
Yeah.
So that you can basically do some of these things as you go along.
Unless you want to manually do it.
Yeah.
All right, cool, thanks.
Yes, I have a question on the forms, the 1099 C's and A's. Are we changing any writing? Because I noticed that on the samples that you give, some of the format is changed from what is originally on there. Are we doing that as well?
Are we doing what now?
Typing in different.
You're talking about the description field, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, type it in, okay? Basically fill in that block that I have there.
Are we changing any of the
description.
Are we changing any of the original, like, is writing already on there? Is any of that original writing being changed in any way? Because I noticed on the forms that your writings are changed, like I think the federal EIN number.
Oh, no, don't change. I was just trying to make a statement of clarification on that one document that I put out there. That this is really what a lot of this is entitled out there.
So we're not changing any of the original writing?
No, you don't change any of the writing. Just leave the form the way it is, okay?
And my next question is, these forms can be handwritten as well, right?
Huh?
You can handwrite everything. You don't have to type everything in, right? You can handwrite the information.
Yeah, you can handwrite it, but if you handwrite it, make sure you use black ink.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
And make sure it's legible, because, see, these are being scanned in by the machine.
Okay.
That's why I tried to go with typing it because it makes it a lot clearer, and the machine should be able to read that now. And see, this is one of the things. Why is your name in capital letters? Okay, because initially the machines were able to read capital letters better than they were the small letters.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Still, OCR programs still work better with capital letters.
Well, in some cases, yeah. But right now, the machines and technology of the computers has been increased immensely.
Yep.
From the old IBM system to where everything had to be in capital letters for them to read it. So now the machines have gotten a little smarter. They can read small letters too.
Yeah, it's much more legible to have it typewritten.
Yeah.
I tried handwriting, and it's a lot to put in a tiny space.
Yeah, and basically I wasn't going to do 22 court case 1099Cs by hand.
Exactly.
My fingers get cramped. Let your fingers do the walking for you. That's what the computers are really for. I've tried to explain that to my mom. The computers are supposed to be an aid. They're not just there for playing games. That's the only thing she knows how to do on a computer, really.
Uh-huh.
All right, so our objective is to really work on getting it out, just
Right.
sending
Now,
it out.
we could use, to send in 1099As, we could still use your 1099C, A, and V form, but just cut off the V.
No, forget the V form.
Or
okay?
just cut it off.
No, don't use that document, okay?
Okay.
Use the red copies, okay? You should have those. I used those before because we didn't have I was using them off the site. And basically, I turn around and I've got to put another order in this next week for another 30 1099Cs.
Hey, Patrick, did
Yeah.
you do, when you printed out the 1041, it says 2012. Did you change that to 2013?
No.
You just left it 2012?
Yep. They don't have a form out there. You go onto their website and they only have 2012. But see, you go up there at the top and you start. The date that started was the 31st of December 2012.
Yeah, it does say that.
Yeah.
Ending the end of this year. Okay. Good. You're really covering all the bases here. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, basically, we just, in most cases, most people out here try and outthink them damn selves. That's what gets them into trouble. They're thinking too damn much. And they're doing too many presumptions that they're smarter than this damn paper that's out here. And they're smarter than the Bible and everything else, the laws. And that's all that Bible is a law book. It's a banking book also of laws, of commerce. Anybody tries to tell you it's a religious book, just throw it at them and say, get the hell out of here. You're a fanatic.
Yeah, I got two family members.
Huh?
It's in the family.
Yeah.
Pat, you got it?
I do.
Good. I'll be texting you. I'm
going to be doing a lot of mailing tomorrow.
Good.
Yeah, I've got several more that I'll be sending out in the mail tomorrow, too. Yeah, see, I sent in several items there. I need to go in and now do some corrections on them because I only tried to cancel the debt for one side. And then I didn't have the interest down, my interest that basically I wanted to claim in box 2 or box 3, like for the vehicle. Okay, I should have put down my interest was the value of that vehicle. Then with General Motors, I was canceling 10 times the amount of debt that they had against that vehicle to free it up.
So would you say the average is 10 times the amount, or you said it was 10 times
at
the
the federal level? And see, that is the first servant. The first servant level is 10 times. Then the next servant level can add more to it, and the next servant level below them. See, that's what Jesus was talking about, the difference in levels in the servants.
How do you determine which level you're dealing with? Like, for example, with General Motors, would that be state or federal?
Yeah, it comes from the federal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
how do you determine which it comes from, though, is my question.
Huh?
So how do you determine which it comes from?
Well, basically, you've got to look at it and see, basically, is this a state organization? Is this a federal organization? Or is this just a commercial organization on their own? Okay, and see if it's under the state regulations, it would be like, and what I found in that one document from the insurance division was that they could go 65 and 35 at different time values. But the base time value is times 10. And like I said, insurance out here is the biggest destroyer of this country. That's what they had to get into this country, was the insurance. President Garfield got killed trying to prevent it from coming in back in the 1880s. In 1887, they brought in the liability insurance into this country.
I have to go look that up.
You don't have to look that up. You can take my word for it. Okay.
No, I want to. I take your word for it.
Get your other shit done first.
Oh right, yes. That's not going to be first. That won't be the first thing, Patrick.
Yes. Want to back some of this other stuff up? I've talked about this for too damn long. Okay, you should have already had that looked up. You should have that ingrained in your mind.
Well, I have the date and the assassination firmly ingrained in my mind.
Yeah. But I mean, the time frame and everything. Basically, I've talked about the liability insurance from the statutes at large. All of these things, basically, you had to follow the path, walk through the statutes to see what was taking place. And everything out here is done in tens. Okay? Washington, D.C. is 10 miles square. That means it's 10 by 10 by 10 by 10. It is a true temple system because that's what the sanctuary of the temple was back in Moses' time. Now you have the city of London, which is only a 1 mile square. It's a 1/10 value. So it is a banking temple. It is not a true governmental temple. Sanctuary. See, all this stuff was laid out in the Bible, and these guys have to follow that law. Any other questions?
Well, I prepared a whole bunch of questions before, and you've answered them all.
I was plugging my phone in.
Okay.
Okay.
Any more questions, guys?
Hello, Patrick.
Hi.
This is Marvell. Haven't caught like maybe 3 or 4 weeks of the program, but I do want to tell you thank you, because I finally have a EIN number. I'll be working on getting a 98 EIN, and downloaded some pretty good things off the site, so I can do a little studying and learning where to put the EIN and how to use it. And acquiring, like you said, just call them up and acquire the 98 EIN for their state, because they said it takes like 14 days for it to kick in. So, and I got like, what was that, 5 or 6 tickets, and I'd like to send those in also.
But that, okay, the foreign grantor trust EIN, you don't need to worry about that for your tickets, okay?
Okay.
Even if you don't have an EIN, you can turn around and you put the court down as the debtor, and then the account number down below is going to be your driver's license and the citation, okay?
Thank you.
That is your driver's license person, okay? It's the debtor.
Right.
And then,
I occasionally made a joke to someone. I said, kind of funny that they force everybody to have a driver's license. So, I told them, I said, yeah, take your driver's license, put it on the steering wheel, and sit back and see can it drive itself. And they actually got what I was saying. I said, then why do you need one? So
you don't. They're forcing insurance upon you, okay?
Right.
And that's all that driver's license is supposed to be, is to insure you so that you have protections. If you do violate the law, they have the funds sitting there under that license to pay the traffic ticket.
Right. Well, I heard one of your earlier programs is like, even when you win the case, you were supposed to, sit back and ask them, well, where's the check? Instead of walking out of the courtroom, you're supposed to sit back and collect that, because when you walk out that courtroom, that's if they get you up in there.
But see, the court doesn't have a return in their system. We have to go to the federal government, and we let the IRS go and get the funds from them.
Great.
And return it to us.
Great. Well, several years ago, I did cancel out a lot of debt with the forms you were speaking of earlier, and I sent it in to the Internal Revenue Service, and then I did a credit check on my name, and they said charge off or set off, and different people was asking me, well, what does that mean? I said, it means exactly what it says. It's paid for. And it was like, no, it can't be that easy. I said, well, it worked for me. And it was like, well, did you A for V it? I said, I'm not A for V in anything. I went to the source.
Yeah.
I did it directly.
Yeah, we canceled the debt, and basically that's what I got about $20,000 of hospital bills canceled in the process. I don't know. I was doing so damn much stuff back about 4 years ago. I don't know what exactly, but I was under the 1099 C's and A's back then, and I think that finally they just said, okay, we've had enough. We're canceling.
Sure, they probably already did it, and they're just playing their little games, because usually if you send the papers in correctly, the transportation, it had already set itself up, because it's like what you were saying, it's in there for you to use it. So now I have to reteach myself on the methods that you're using, and like I said, I have like maybe 13 or 12 more days left, and this character that they have in all uppercase letters will be dead, and I will take charge of the estate. But now I know about the 1040 because I just sent them a blank one. They never responded to it, and I was hearing some of your people were saying that they sent in things, they turned it back. They never turned back any of my stuff, none of it. They sent me back the green card, but when I found out on your site that the 1041 is actually a money voucher where I can take out of the estate, now I got to figure out how that works. So that's why you just fill out that 1041 form in line 22E, 25, 28, and 29. From the 1099C and the 1099A, you put in the amount that you want returned for those forms in block 24E. Then those other 4 items or 3 items are going to be the same value. Wow.
Now, the same thing goes on the 1040 form, okay? There's a blank to put in the 1099s on there. How much you want back. You have no income. So everything else on that form is zero. Right. Okay?
Yes.
Except where you want the return sent back to you. Now, on the 1040 form, it has on there that you can have that deposited directly into your bank account on the 1040 form. But you can only do an initial 1040 form, okay? Yeah. After that, you want to do another one the next week. You use a 1040X form.
What does X mean? I know what SE means, but what does X
basically
mean?
It's just a continuation. Like with the 1041s, you mark up on it initial, then on the next time you do a filing, you mark amended. And then when you get to the last one for the year, you put down final.
Oh, because that'd be like December 31st, how they end their book.
Whenever you want to submit the last 1040 in for the year of returns.
Wow.
Yeah, and see, it's on that form, but there is no direct deposit on that form, so that's why you need to use the 8302 form to go along with that. But the 8302 form, when you start utilizing the 1041 form, okay, for the most part, they will send you a check, and you should start getting an account set up, a bank account under your 98 series EIN, your foreign grant or trust EIN, or a postal account, or an American Express account, or a Direct Express account. Okay?
Okay.
See, you have to, when you do that foreign grant or trust, you have expressed grant. And that's, look up the definition of light in Anderson's Law Dictionary. To claim our accounts, we had to express grant. Okay, so now you've expressed grant when you got that 98 series number. Now, use the items that have Express in them. American Express. Set up a bank account with American Express, or the Direct Express with the Treasury.
Or Federal Express.
It's a
anything
debit
with
card.
Express.
Well, anything with Express in it.
Hey, no problem. I get that one. That's pretty good. I get that. Cause,
see, American Express, you are now an American citizen. So you use the American Express banking system.
Right.
So I could, on my 1041, tell them to send it to my Direct Express card.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything with Express. That's not a problem. So,
or you go down and get an American Express account set up when you get your first check, and set it up under your foreign grantor trust EIN. Now, that is an exemption account, and you do not want the FDIC insurance.
Right. Because I'm not paying them. They can use it for. The only thing I'm paying them is probably, if I pay anything, it'll be just for holding.
I'll pay for the services.
Yeah, that's it. Just for services.
Yeah, I'm paying for your services.
Right.
You can charge me a little more services because I'm not going to allow you to have that FDIC insurance.
Right.
I'm not going to allow any insurance against my accounts anymore.
Okay. And when you're doing these kind of businesses, because I haven't required a 98 number as of yet, but the regular EIN that I did, and thank you very much, because that was absolutely too easy. Okay. They require that number, and it specifically just said the estate and the dead entity. And I was like, wow. So I took my companion, I spoke to her, and we went in the graveyard. And I said, look at all these tombstones. Now explain to me why is this on ID. And she laughed about it. And then she wound up picking up total clarity of it. She saw it with her own eyes, and she has clarity. So
and then go and watch the movie Matrix again, especially the very first one, about how Neo gets unplugged from the tower.
Yep. No, we already done it. Watched all three of them.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite ones.
The more you watch it, the more you'll see. Just like the movie Now You See Me. Okay?
Yeah, that was a good one.
The closer you look, the less you see. You need to stand back and, in some cases, take more looks at these things, because every time you look at it, and I did that with the movie Forrest Gump, and I watched it about 6 times before I thought that I had a good handle on everything that I was missing in there. And I mean, I watch it. Oh, hell, I didn't remember seeing that in the first time I watched it. Your mind doesn't comprehend everything the first time through.
Right. Well, that's just like the Four Horsemen. If you come in close enough, you won't see what's really going on. So you have to stand back and look at it, because I done watched that several times, and I saw a lot of stuff in it. Right. And especially the ending of the movie, where they got on the carousel, and they actually walked into the light of within the eye. And I was like, wait a minute. That's the rock that they was talking about, and that's the light that they was talking about. And I was like, wow, because I got a lot of stuff in my head. That's why I can pick up a lot of things that you say. But being educated to a point that being dumb, oh man, it's kind of tough to break that barrier. But once you do, you see things much clearly. Because mostly everybody is walking around with their eyes partially open, and it takes a minute. Like even reading your paperwork and looking at all the work that you have done, it takes a minute to get it, because a lot of things you had out there, I didn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out because I didn't have clarity. And now when you say something, I have a little more clarity. I know what it means. So it helps a lot.
Yeah, well, that's why I tried to put some additional clarification in some of those definitions, like especially that one that I put up there about light, and then also about the different categories of creditors. But the key thing this last week was seeing that tidings. Okay, tide, it's two words. It's not one word. It's two words.
Right.
And that's basically in some cases, we don't look at the words. We look at the definition that basically the law dictionaries give us for a word, but we never dissect the word like America.
Right.
I can.
Wow.
That means a mirror. Okay?
Okay.
And basically an emir is a prince of the sultan or of the sovereign. I, individual, can, one who has the knowledge and understanding. That is an American.
Wow.
You can do the same thing with Indian, with an Indian, okay?
Right.
Indian was not a race.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, Jew is not a race.
No, it's not. It's bankers.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with race. Anytime.
It started out from Jezebel, then it went to jewelry, then it went to shortened down to Jew. It was all about the bankers.
That's all it was.
Yeah, and before the Jezebels, they were called pharaohs.
Yes. Yes. And just like when you said 10, 10, 10, it was something that I saw many years ago. They put it as a cross circle, but actually it was a puzzle box. Once I did the puzzle box and did it in binary code, it said raw. And I went, what? And I said, wait a minute, they putting this stuff out here in plain sight. And if you don't do the work on it, you'll never know what it means. You just think it's some pretty artwork, but actually it's like it's a mathematical equation. Because once I started messing with binary codes, I found out everything is a binary code. And I said, man, I got to work on this. It's a lot of stuff I had to do. I have to work on it. But once I start, because I haven't actually worked in 3 years, so I haven't received the income or anything else. But I found out that they have no limit on the law, because it was something that you mentioned several weeks ago, that they sent a form in, the IRS sent a form in from 1992, and they wanted an answer. So pretty much they gave me an answer. I can go all the way back to 1988 to my first job, because I have all my forms. And just sit back and say, hey, since you don't want to tell me the truth about things, well, here is the truth. And no, I'm not falling into your belief system. You have to show me facts, okay? Because what you're trying to do is kick into a religion. And once I figured out everything was based on a religion, policemen, it's ushers inside of a church.
Yeah, it's just another belief system. They get you to believing something that is false.
Yes. I even told an officer somewhat like that, and he pretty much backed off.
Yeah. Now, everybody out here that basically has ever paid into Social Security or Medicare, okay, you can, and basically they normally send you out a yearly statement of what your account you paid in.
Right.
Okay. You can take that, multiply that times 2, because in most cases your employer had to pay the same amount into that system.
Wow.
Okay, you paid half, the employer paid the other half. Okay, so you multiply that times 2, that goes into block 3, then you multiply that times 10, you cancel that debt, and now you claim those assets back from your Social Security account.
Wow.
That's how you start closing down the savings account or the Social Security account.
Yes, because that's exactly what I want to do. Because I wound up doing something years ago. I did a SSA 521.
Yeah.
And someone got in touch with me. This was a couple of years ago, and they was like, "Well, we can't do this." I said, "Well, you didn't return my property, so that means you took it." And they went, "What?" I said, "Notice to agent," and they just shut up.
Yeah.
So
well,
I have the green card.
But like the vehicle, like the certificate of title to the vehicle, you can add up all the license fees that you paid for that vehicle, okay, over the years. You have the new price of the vehicle. You put that on box 3. Then you cancel 10 times, or at the state level, and basically I think the state level that I have right now of this 65 and 35 is pretty much nationwide, that most all the states are operating with it, except maybe for a few of them that are trying to operate in honor, and they're sticking to the 10 times limit out there, and they never really approved going to the higher levels. But like I said before, you can always cancel more debt than what you have there in block 3. So whatever you put down, you're canceling, you're covering your butt if you cancel more debt.
Well, it's all about forgiveness, because I got that part.
Yeah, that's the most unconscionable sin out there, is to forgive your Holy Ghost.
Okay.
That is the one sin that basically is addressed in the Bible, is the sin against the Holy Ghost.
Wow. Well,
and basically that's the one that you have to forgive. You have to forgive your debtor person his debts to you.
Right. Oh, okay. That's what that is. That's what
See, that's the one thing that basically people never comprehended, and basically the churches never told you about. I kept questioning that for years. They talk about this sin, the unforgivable sin. Well, it's the one that you have to do against your debtor person. You have to forgive him. And see, that's where the parable about the guy that took his inheritance and went off away from the right-hand son and the father, and went out and spent his inheritance. And then he ended up living with the swine and said, I'm better off. I'd be better off going back and being a servant to my father than I am right now. So he went back home. The father accepted him back.
Yes.
Forgave him.
Yes. I remember that story. I've read it.
Yeah. But see, we didn't see the insight into that story. And that's where, when you start getting the insight, okay, now that is the all-seeing eye when you start looking inward. Now you are the magician at the end of that movie. Now you see me.
Yes.
You see me for what I am.
Yes. And I'll be glad when this plateau is over. Because I don't have anything, no income, nothing. So I'm working very diligently on this.
But you're rich beyond your wildest dreams right now.
Yes, because I have knowledge.
Because you've got the knowledge.
Yes. So,
you can
and that's
make
something
$1 million
they can't take away from me.
You can make $1 million tomorrow. You know how to do it now.
Yep. I will be working on it.
Okay.
Like I said, I was looking at your papers and I saw where you placed the EIN, and then you said the federal, which is actually the zip code. So I mean, a whole lot of things you're saying. It's starting to make sense now. So now I got to go back, look at the forms that you was talking about, because like I said, I did this like years ago, and I knew how to do it. I had to reteach myself.
The key thing here is when you do one of these and you cancel that 10 times the amount of debt or whatever, I can almost guarantee that there's going to be somebody knocking on your door now. How did you come up with this?
I'll just say something simple to him. I say, go read Deuteronomy.
Well, no, you have to say Patrick Devine.
No.
Well, you can reference me, okay? I'm just basically like one of the other guys in the Bible, okay?
Yes.
That was out there, okay? One who was getting the knowledge and basically trying to put it out to the people. But you have to know that it's in the law.
Yes.
It's in the Bible.
Yeah,
you
that's
say,
why
hey,
I said Deuteronomy.
It's right here in the Bible, in the temple law that Moses laid down. Yeah. And see, really it goes all the way back to the laws of Noah, which most people don't have a set of those laws. And that as soon as you start getting some of these things, you'll probably want to start setting up specialty libraries here. Like I said, the first thing you need to do is get as many damn dictionaries as you can. Throw half the damn law books out, or the law dictionaries. But even them, they do have some good qualities to them.
Well, I have Black law and several others because I was studying law. And when you came up with the Anderson, I'll sit back, I'll look up a word, any word. And I'll look at the Anderson. I went, wait a minute, and I'll go back and look at Black's law. I say, you see this is stupid. Like the word understanding. Rather if it's written down, if it's said, and you sit back and say nothing, that means you agreed to it. If it is also said, and it is written down, and you haven't stood up for yourself, because I tell them I do not stand under any man, period.
Right.
And if you're going to say something to me, you need to say it. And if they want me to stand there in silence, I'll be like, no, I will not stand here in silence. Why? Because you're making a statement. You're not even allowed to talk because you represent the dead. And it'd be like, contempt. Wait a minute, you're in contempt. Yeah. How could I be in contempt? Matter of fact, you're not even supposed to talk. And it's like,
just get a whole bunch of Bibles and bring them all out.
Well, that or basically get a bunch of movies. It's all in the movies. It's all in the movies.
I'm making a little video myself, because people that know me, they have acts. I should do something because I actually went out there, and people know I don't have anything. They know I don't have an income or a home or anything else, and I have given knowledge out freely. And I told them, I said, Maximus Law. And they said, what? I said, that's the universal law of the planet. I said, but a man is worth his hire. I said, all the years I worked, I'm 52. I have never been compensated for anything I've done. I had pretty good jobs. And he said, what that mean? I said, you gave me FRNs. I said, that's monopoly money. That's not anything. I said, I was supposed to receive,
Well, they were all under debt. They had all a debt attached to them under that black seal, okay? Now, when we do this, okay, we're going to be operating with the green seal side of that same Federal Reserve dollar.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just, and see, we can basically then look at the back of the dollar bill. It's got the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. So when you start getting your insight into this, your understanding of it, then you are, and flip the dollar back over, okay? What side is the all-seeing eye on?
It's in all four directions.
It's on the left-hand side on the back. But when you flip it over, it's underneath.
It's on the right-hand side. Yeah.
It's underneath the green seal on the right-hand side.
Yep, it is. It is. But I usually see things, and like sometimes when you talk, I actually can see what you're saying, but I see things like on a three-dimensional image. So when you mention the pyramid and the eye of the pyramid, I said, wow, this is north, west, east, and south. The eye sees in all directions. So that's just me.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just want to thank you.
You're welcome.
Patrick.
Yeah.
So if I'm understanding, the 10 and the 65 and 35, have you looked at what the counties or the cities are doing with this bonding then also?
They would have to be under the same regulation that the state is operating under.
So they're probably doing it at the 10 rate then.
The 10 and the 35, 10, 65, 35%. Okay, because see, they're all state licensed corporations.
So on the first 65, they do 10 bonds there, and then on the second 35, they do another 10
from 10. They do from 10 to 35. So on all my court cases, I took the 35%, okay, or the 65%, multiplied that times 10. Then the next 35, or the last 35%, I took that times 35 times. I went to the max. Okay? And then I added those two numbers together to come up with what the amount of debt that I was canceling.
Yeah.
Now, like for a credit card, you would basically just come in and do a 100 times that. And we've heard this before, that basically the credit card companies are writing $2 million in bonds against your account.
Holy cow.
That's why they hand them out.
Yeah, they hand them out because, see, they're getting phenomenal paybacks, and then you're paying out of your back pocket because you don't know how to cancel that item.
Yeah, you're paying them for the privilege of ripping you off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a con. It's a connie. Okay, you're going to the carnival to get ripped off by the cons. Con artists.
Mm-hmm.
Could you also do that on a rush card? I mean, on a debit card?
No, basically, if a debit card should be a 1-for-1. What you have in your account is going to be offset.
Oh.
But now, in most cases, the debit card you have is tied into the bank, and you do not have a non-interest checking account. So the bank is writing bonds against that checking account. We know that the FDIC has insurance against that checking account to the tune of $250,000, even though you've only got $10,000 in your checking account. They're writing bonds for $250,000, but really at $2.5 million.
Whoa, that's bogus.
Yeah, it's an insurance. You have a whole life insurance policy of $500 million. Totally stupid, but basically you've got it, okay? I mean, why would you want to have a whole life insurance policy when you're dead? You're dead. Why hand something over to somebody else, some nitwit down the line?
Well, in 2 more weeks, they won't be able to do that.
Let them learn their shit. They've got an inheritance from Mother Earth out here. So it's all a fraud game, this whole insurance racket, okay? But you have that $500 or $500,000 insurance policy. You do a 1099-C against that insurance policy, put $500,000 in block 3, you put at least $5 million, if not more, like maybe $50 million in block 2.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. Thank you.
Cancel that much debt, okay?
Yeah.
Basically, they will get rid of you and get you out of the system and free up your assets. Then you go to the Treasury and you claim that amount of assets out of your account.
Will do, sir. Will do. Wow.
Yeah.
That's bonkers.
Yeah, start utilizing your inheritance today.
Oh, man. God.
So we're canceling it. We're canceling it in line 2. We're claiming it back in line 3 and 7.
Well, we're addressing our interest in line 3. That we have a lawful interest of claim against this amount of money in line 3. Okay? Now we can claim back whatever we want that's in line 3. Now, if you have a service bill, like a utility bill, okay, you cancel, you put the utility bill in line 3. Okay? Now you multiply that times at least 10 times in block 2. Now, since you've got the services, and see, that is also interest. So you have a set-off of that amount. You're not going to claim anything back on that. You're allowing the credits to come out of your account to go to them directly. Yeah, you've freed up the accounts. You've taken them out of being in bondage and said, here, pull the credits out of my account to pay for that service.
And by all of us doing that,
times 2 if we paid it out of our back pocket, though.
Yeah, instead of you making a second payment out of your back pocket. Now, if you
But
made
if
a second
we've already
payment
made the payment. But
if
we've
you've
already
made the payment, if you made the payment, then you double the amount in box 3.
Yep.
But you only put down the bonds to cover the initial bill. Okay, so that's how much debt you're canceling. Now, you have the double interest, but you're only going to claim back what you paid out of your back pocket, because the other payment will go for the services that have been rendered to you.
That would go in line 7 then.
Yeah, the payment that you're asking back. So you basically paid $150 in. The bill was for $150, so line 3 is $300, but you got $150 worth of services. So in line 7, you're only going to ask back for $150.
Right. Makes sense now. That's where I was having a problem a couple of weeks ago, and I even go back to one other call. You had said that you take it times the, like on a mortgage. You borrow, say, $100,000. It's actually 3 times that amount, but now it's coming out that it's actually 10 times that amount.
Yeah. Basically, that's the
now,
amount of bonds
now it's making sense. Now it makes sense that the books can balance out. To look at it, for our books to balance out is what I was trying to see. And now it's making sense. Thank you.
Okay, and see, you would only claim back what you have a lawful claim to. You allow the credits to go over and do the set-off. Now, if your mortgage has been out there for over 3 years, they're holding that amount of credits in your name. So at that point in time, you can claim back when you cancel that out. Okay, you have an interest in that for the mortgage value, both that they're holding, and then you also have the interest that basically they still have bonds written against out there, that after 3 years they were supposed to close those bonds down, and the comptroller of the currency had better make sure that those bonds are closed down. But all you're going to do is offset what they're holding and then claim back all the principal and interest that you've been paying in, because they've been utilizing that out there, but you still cancel the same amount of debt as the initial mortgage was.
Yep.
Now, it's a convoluted accounting system, but when you start thinking about this and start putting it down on paper, then you can start seeing what they've been doing.
Well, then you can start moving it back and forth on the teeter-totter, too.
Yeah, you are
right
re-engineering
one
it.
way. We got to teeter it back the other way, but we got to see how to teeter it back.
Yeah, you have to be the re-engineer, like in the movie Paycheck. Okay? They build a computer one way, you come back in, and you re-engineer it for your benefit.
And then say, for example, like with the utility bill, instead of the example you have up here with care of the U.S. Department of Treasury, we use care of the CFO of whatever that particular company is, right?
Well, no, you would put the whole company name down there, their address and everything. How they tie back to your Social Security number is going to be by the account number down below in the bottom line down at the bottom there.
Okay, so the example, the recent 10% example you put up was just for like a withdrawal from the certificate of live birth account.
Yeah, they initially processed it through the Social Security account, and see that utility company has your Social Security number. When you set that account up with that utility company, you had to give them a Social Security number.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And
so
basically
that works.
Your savings account, and then by means of the savings account, they went and placed a lien against your certificate of live birth, your INGs that are sitting in your certificate of live birth, your INGs.
This will work the same way for cooperatives too, electric cooperatives?
Yeah.
We just don't know that they're doing that.
Yeah. And basically the electric cooperatives basically are licensed by the federal government, so they should be operating under the 10-time rule.
Yep.
Now, if you have a state utility or something like that, state water works or something like that, then it would be under the state system.
I have a city utility. I have a city utility, so they're operating.
Still licensed by the state.
Right.
Okay. You've got 3 categories here. You've got 3 categories of being the creditor. You've got 3 categories of the debtors out here. You've got the federal level, you've got the state level, and then you've got the other nitwits.
That's why I was asking about the city and the county.
Yeah, they're still under the state regulations.
Yeah.
Patrick, that figure you talked about of 10 times 65% times 10, and 35% at 35. That
Up
number
up to 35.
Up
from
to 35,
10 to 35.
Yeah, but you're using 35.
Yeah, I went to the max. You can always
Right.
cancel more debt than what, but just go with the max
Right.
amount.
But
Okay.
but that number works out to 18.75.
Whatever.
Yes. So that at the state level, it's 18.75 times.
If you just multiply it straight out
Yeah.
across the board. Okay.
Yeah. I just multiplied 10 times 0.65 plus 35 times 0.35.
So if you wanted to do it to state level and simplify it even further down, at the federal level, do it at 10 times. At the state level, do it at 20 times. And then for all other nitwits out there, do it 100 times.
Okay. Good.
So like
that
makes
a whole lot more sense. Yes. Because all we're doing, we're canceling the debt. We're not claiming it back.
Yeah,
we're claiming
you're just
that
canceling
back
that amount of debt that they have out there. And now you're putting that into the IRS, and what are you doing? You are reporting on them that you have canceled this much debt. Now they have to adjust their books. The IRS will be looking at them now, not you, because they're the ones that have the income. You don't have any income, but you had to report them as having income.
So in the case where you're with the Social Security person is the debtor, the care of the comptroller at the Department of Treasury will be the one now receiving that income.
Yeah, basically they have to, at the federal level, they have to compensate that, and basically they then will have to adjust their books. Okay.
So you wouldn't have to go back, because for this situation, you do a 1041 to do the return. You wouldn't then also have to file a 1040 for the Social Security person, correct?
No. He has no income. You're only using the 1040 and the 1041s for the 1099 A's and C's. You have no income.
You're using them as vouchers, really, huh?
Yeah, you're using them as a claim to get your return. That's what the forms say. Return. It doesn't say tax income on you. It says these are return forms.
Yep.
You're the owner of this country. The owners don't pay taxes. When has the king ever paid a tax? Never. But he gets his usage fees paid to him. And see, that's all we're doing, is we're getting our payments. And our payments are below a taxing rate. So we have no income.
They want to make us believe that we do.
That's it. It's the false religion that was created in violation of Amendment 1 of the Constitution when they set up the 14th Amendment. Yeah, when you start getting the insight into this, basically it's just blowing this thing wide open.
As the song goes, I see the light.
Yeah.
We're starting to see the light.
And then you'll see the men in black.
Let them come.
Explain it.
Yeah, I got about
it.
5 Bibles in my house. I'm going to take them all out.
Huh?
Said I have about 5 Bibles in my house, so I'm just going to collect them and stop reading them again.
Right. Then when they ask, where did you learn this, you pull out the Bible.
Exactly.
As long as they come with the paycheck.
Yeah. Well, you can get a lot of these Bibles and everything in audio. I know you can get the New Testament, all the different portions there in audio, because I've downloaded those, and I downloaded the whole Old Testament, and it's about 96 hours in length. There is about 300 and some meg off of one of the websites to listen to it. And when you do that, then you start getting and listening to it at the same time, and then checking it out by going to the different Bibles. And I use Geneva's Bible out there, but I've also got Dewey Ream's Bible and several others around here to basically sort of compare how they plagiarized or they polluted the words with Babel.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Which one did you find was you liked the best?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's basically just.
Did it have different information?
I sit there and I've turned the damn Bible on, the audio, and I fall asleep listening to it. Wake up listening to it, because it runs 96 hours, something like that. So, and then I just jump around, going from the different prophets out there, and basically the prophets were nothing more than people that were enlightened. Okay, they were the ones that had the all-seeing eye of understanding what was going on. That's all a prophet is one who has gained the knowledge of insight into the system.
Well, somebody pointed out Isaiah 22:22 to me, and I thought that was interesting about the keys of unlocking what needs to be unlocked and locking up what needs to be locked up.
Uh-huh. And see, you've got the ones that gained the insight, and then you've also got the insiders, the ones that have been fed the information. Okay? The insiders are the ones that can't let that knowledge or are not supposed to let that knowledge out. JFK was an insider. Abraham Lincoln was an insider. John the Baptist was an insider. They all lost their heads.
Didn't Roosevelt also?
Well, I don't know what Roosevelt's problem was. I think that was an inside job there that basically he didn't want to do Hiroshima, and so they and basically he was getting a little senile, and so they got rid of him and put Truman in.
Mm-hmm.
Now these guys, amongst these, there is no real honor.
Yeah. Got that right.
Yeah. Especially in the banking industry. There is no honor there. They'll turn their back on their fellow brothers right and left. Just look at the Bushes.
Yeah, that's the one thing we have going for us is that it weakens them when they do that.
Yeah.
Okay, any more questions?
I have one. It's on a touchy subject. I was doing my 98 EIN, and I ended up with a 66 EIN. I did without everything, and when it came in the mail, it said that I hadn't done my my income tax in several years, and that I needed to file a 1041 beginning in 1974, which was very odd because I never gave him a Social Security number. And it's odd because that's my 24th birthday.
Yeah, you need to turn around. You need to start getting some of your return back. That's what they're trying to tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? That's all they're telling you. Hey, cancel some debt. Get some of your money out of here.
Exactly. So do I need my 98 to do it, or can I?
No. Where did you get that 66 number? Where did it come from?
I don't know. That's what they gave me instead of a 98.
No, look at the letter that you got. Where did it come from?
Cincinnati.
It came out of Cincinnati, but it said it's a foreign grantor trust, or did it just say it's a trust?
It's a trust.
Okay. Check with them and ask them, is this a foreign grantor trust?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you need to ask them. That's what you really wanted, was a foreign grantor trust. It don't make a damn bit of difference whether it's a 98, a 99 number. Several people have gotten a couple different numbers, but they all, when you get now, as far as I know, it still should be coming out of Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? When you get a foreign grantor trust, because Philadelphia was the seat of government for America. Washington, D.C. is the seat of government for the United States of America. See, we've got two different seats of government here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
one is for the people, the other is for the corporation.
All right. So I can call them, and I mean, could I do like a B? Well, I mean, I could just.
Well, basically, no. When you call them and find out if they say that that's a foreign grantor trust, then utilize it as a foreign grantor trust.
Okay.
But you need to. Do you have your estate EIN?
Yes.
Okay. Then you can do the estate EIN. With your Social Security person, canceling the debt there,
mm-hmm.
Then you get it into an abandoned situation for that amount of money. Then with the 1099-A, you turn around and you make your estate as the borrower,
mm-hmm.
and you, with your 98 or with your foreign grantor trust, as being the lender.
Right.
And then basically you claim that back. Then you file the 1041 under that foreign grantor trust under that EIN and claim that back.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you can either do the 1041, either utilizing the estate or the foreign grantor trust.
Okay.
And if we use it during
you can
the
become
estate,
a millionaire tomorrow.
If we use it during the estate in the 1099-A, the lender, in which case would be the estate, and the borrower would be the Social Security, right?
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Patrick, I got a hold of Interstate 60. I want to thank you for the recommendation of that. I had to watch that 3 times at least.
Oh, at least. I've watched it probably about 10 now.
Yeah. I just couldn't believe all the stuff that was in that movie. And I don't want to say a lot of stuff about it because I don't want to spoil it for the people that haven't watched it yet.
Well,
but
basically,
really,
give them some insight. I mean, basically, don't hold back. I mean, see, people can watch movies, and but if you give them sort of an insight of what they're looking for, then it will sort of key them in to look for that, and then all of a sudden they're looking at other things within the movie out there.
Well, the one I will recommend is The City of More Law.
Uh-huh.
That was my favorite.
Morlaw.
Yeah.
And then they have...
It was run by attorneys or lawyers, okay? Liars and cheats.
Yeah, and they were holding court in the church.
Yeah.
Which was also interesting.
And even the janitors were lawyers.
And it was interesting that when an ambulance went down the street, they had all the lawyers running after the ambulance.
Yeah.
Ambulance chasers.
Uh-huh.
It's just incredible the things that you can see in that.
And the way he behaved himself in court, too.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Most definitely.
Yeah. Now, one of the key things in this process, in the endeavor, is that there's people that are in prison. Okay? You don't know what their charge is. Okay? People try to get their charges, but you can come in and put as a interested party, okay, and put in so much cancellation of debt for the release of that prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of the other key things out here is when you file a request in to find out how much the debt is, either with the court or with the comptroller of the state, like for your driver's license, how much is that insurance policy for that driver's license? And basically, if they refuse to tell you, then you file a 3949A in saying that they are refusing to give you the value of the debt that you need to cancel. They are depriving you of that right to cancel the debt.
That's the way we get our manifest then, huh?
Yes. Use
for those
the
items.
ID, okay?